All right, today we're going to be using the uniform crime reporting to look at a few different ways we can use the sumifs and a countifs, and then also look at a different way we can use an index match to kind of go beyond the most basic way that we used them on the first videos. So going to our data points from the FBI statistics, this is the number of crimes in population for every given year. And you can see some of it is grouped into violent crime, and then there's property crime, and then the property crimes fall after that. So one of the things we had done previously was done a simple sumifs, which would just be looking for a particular data point. So if we looked at the population in a given year, and we'll just type in 1960. And we'll be able to return that population. Well, another thing we can do with both of them is whenever we go to do a sumifs or a countifs, we can actually do ranges. So we're going to look at our data tab, and we're going to see how many murders and non-negligent manslaughters occurred, and we're going to have the year be greater than or equal to, and then we'll use an ampersand, and that allows us to pick a cell reference, and we're just going to pick the cell right next to us, C3, and that'll be our start year. And then we're going to go back to our data. We're going to pick the stop year, and then we're going to specify that as less than or equal to, and then we'll close that out, put the ampersand, and then we're going to go back to our formulas, and then we'll go with the cell right next to it. So if I put 1960 to 1980 we'll be able to see how many, I believe I picked murders and non-negligent manslaughters between those 2 years. So if I type 75, the number goes down. So any data points within this range would allow us to be able to filter that by that. And the countifs is going to work the exact same way. You can do equal to, greater than, less than. If you're doing a text-based thing like a location, like when we looked at the tax rates, we could look at the states and have it start with the letter A by doing A at and then an asterisk, and it'll search for the criteria within that with a wild card after it for any state starting with an A. And then looking at the other, if we look at as an index match, we will go back to our data point, and we're going to see what our population was, and then we will match off of a given input. I'm just going to go with F5 over here, and we're going to go back to our data. We'll select the year. We'll put a 0 because we want that exact match. And we need to put a year in here, 1960, and it gives us that date. We can also put an if error in here. You'll notice that when there was no year, it failed because there was nothing to look up. If we put an if error and then a blank, if it happens to be blank, it'll just null out the cell reference. So 1975, there's our population. Now, one additional thing that we can do is what would be an index match. And basically the way that works is instead of picking a return cell, we're going to pick the entire table. So we'll pick everything from A to L, and then we're going to match based off of a year. So we'll go back to our formulas, and I'm just going to use one of the years up here. So I'll use 1969. And then we're going to come back to our data point, and then we'll do search within A because that's where the years are. And then we're going to match, and then we're going to pick, I'll just come down here and pick B8 is where I'm going to type the type of the crime in there. And we're going to look across row 1, and then we're going to do 0 for a match. And once again, that was B8. So if I come down here and I put murder, and then I put an asterisk, it's going to then look for murders within that year, 1969. And I'm just going to drag this guy down here so they're next to each other. So if I look at murders for 1975, it changed to 20,510. 1975 murders, 20,510. So we can see that's the basic same thing as an index match, except for now it will let me pick robbery. And it's robbery and something, so we'll just throw the asterisk in there. And that I can't spell. Robbery has two B's. Robbery, and we can see the number there. So if we take this kind of index match idea and we expand on it a little bit, we can see this table. And what this table allows me to do is pick a particular crime section, and like aggravated assault, and it will fill based off of all these years. So I'm specifying a year and specifying a crime type, and I can change this to be 1960, 1970, 1980, 1990, and I can see how those crimes have changed. If I wanted to do every 5 years, I would only have to type in whatever years I wanted, and I'll pick a different one, burglary. So now the end user, the user of the report, gets to pick the type of crime, the years, and all they do is change a few different data points, and they're able to visualize this a little bit differently. And if we put this in a chart format, we could then show the crimes year over year across time and see how things have changed. We'll just go with something like this. And then we can add, obviously, additional crime types, and we'll get more data points on years. And then once again, if we wanted to change, like I said, 1960, 1965, 1970, 1975, the dates will all update and show how crime has changed over a 5-year time frame or a 10-year time frame. So that's how we can use the sumifs. The countifs is going to be the same. You just don't put the sum range in there. And then how we can use an index match to do a little bit more complicated lookups instead of just looking for a particular value or just looking for a single returned item on that index match. Thanks for watching the video.